When people talk about money stress, they usually assume it is about numbers, about income, expenses, or how much is left in the bank account. But in reality, worrying about money is rarely about money itself. It is about the absence of it, and more importantly, the psychological weight that absence creates in everyday life. When money is tight, your mind does not rest. You lie awake at night, not scrolling your phone, not thinking creatively, but staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, replaying the same questions over and over. What if the car breaks down? What if an unexpected bill shows up? What if next month's rent is more than you can handle? These thoughts are not dramatic. They are quiet, repetitive, and exhausting. That stress does not disappear when the sun comes up. It follows you into meetings at work, where your body is present, but your mind is elsewhere, calculating whether your paycheck will cover food, rent, and that bill you forgot about. It follows you into the grocery store, where every item becomes a decision, every price tag a reminder of limitation. It even shows up in your social life when you turn down plans, not because you do not want to go, but because you are silently doing math in your head. This kind of exhaustion is not physical, and sleep does not fix it, because the problem is not your body, it is your brain. Your mind is stuck in survival mode, constantly trying to solve an equation that does not have an answer. Over time, financial stress becomes background noise. It drains your focus, your energy, and your emotional stability, even when nothing is actively going wrong. If this feels familiar, comment the number 1 below to watch the full video and continue the conversation. Over time, this constant background stress does something deeper. It slowly takes away peace. And that is the part most people never talk about. The real cost of struggling with money is not just unpaid bills or a low bank balance. It is the loss of calm, the loss of control, and the loss of confidence in your own future. When money feels uncertain, everything feels uncertain. Decisions stop being choices and start becoming reactions. You say yes to things you do not want because you feel like you have no option. You stay in situations that drain you because leaving feels too risky. Financial stress quietly removes your sense of agency. You stop feeling like the person in charge of your life and start feeling like life is happening to you. What makes this even more confusing is that more money does not automatically fix it. Many people assume that peace arrives at a certain income level, but that is not how it works. There are people earning 6 figures who still wake up anxious, still worry about losing their job, still feel pressure from inflation, and still feel trapped by their financial obligations. The numbers are higher, but the stress is still there. At the same time, there are people earning far less who sleep well at night, not because they have unlimited money, but because they have built something far more important. They have built financial calm. They know where they stand. They trust their systems. They are not constantly bracing for disaster. This is the key idea. Financial calm is not about wealth. It is about psychological security. It is about structure, intention, and knowing that you can handle what comes next. When peace is present, money stops controlling every thought. And when peace is absent, no amount of income feels like enough. This shift in understanding changes everything. Once you understand that peace does not come from income alone, a new question appears. What does financial calm actually feel like in real life? Not in theory, not on paper, but in the small moments that make up your day. Financial calm is the quiet knowledge that if something goes wrong, you will be okay. Not because nothing bad will ever happen, but because you are prepared enough to handle it. It shows up in ordinary situations. In the grocery store, where you are no longer doing constant math in your head or choosing items based purely on fear. In the morning, when your first thought is not to check your bank account to make sure you survive the night. It is the ability to say no without panic, to walk away from a job offer or a side gig that feels wrong, not because you are lazy or unmotivated, but because you have enough stability to wait for something better. Financial calm gives you time, and time creates options. When you are not desperate, you can think clearly. When you can think clearly, you make better decisions. This calm changes how you move through life. Expenses stop feeling like threats and start feeling like problems that can be solved. You no longer react emotionally to every unexpected cost. You respond intentionally. Instead of asking, "How do I survive this?" you ask, "What is the smartest next step?" That shift may sound small, but it completely changes your daily experience. Anxiety gets replaced with quiet confidence, not the loud kind that needs to be announced, but the steady kind that knows challenges are manageable. You begin to trust yourself again. You trust your ability to adapt, to recover, and to move forward. If you are still watching right now, do something simple. Pause for 1 second and ask yourself this: what would change in your life if money stopped being the first thing on your mind every morning? If financial calm changes how you experience everyday life, the next question becomes practical. How do you actually build it? Most people assume the answer is simple: make more money, get a better job, find a side hustle. But this is where many people start in the wrong place. The first real step toward financial calm is not increasing income. It is creating a small buffer between you and disaster. Something simple, something quiet, something that tells your brain you are not one mistake away from everything falling apart. This is what an emergency fund actually does. It is not about being impressive or preparing for every possible future. Even a modest amount of savings can completely change your mental state. When you have some money set aside, you stop living on the edge. You stop feeling like every unexpected expense is a personal threat. When your car needs repairs or a bill shows up that you did not plan for, the situation changes. It is still frustrating. It is still inconvenient, but it is no longer a crisis. You fix the problem and move on. There is no panic, no scrambling, no late night stress trying to figure out how to survive the month. As that buffer grows, something deeper happens. When you reach a few months of living expenses, your brain receives a powerful signal. You are safe for now. You can breathe. Survival mode slowly turns down its volume, and when that happens, your mind becomes capable of thinking beyond immediate danger. This is when better decisions become possible. You stop choosing based purely on fear. You start considering long-term outcomes. You regain mental space that was previously consumed by worry. Growth becomes an option because survival is no longer the only priority. Financial calm does not arrive all at once. It begins with a small foundation, a simple buffer, and that foundation changes how you think, how you act, and how you move forward. Once you have a buffer in place, something interesting happens. The fear quiets down just enough for you to see clearly. And this is where the next building block of financial calm comes in: control. Not the anxious kind, not the obsessive kind, but real, grounded control. Many people think control means tracking every dollar with intensity, checking their accounts multiple times a day, and feeling guilty about every purchase. That is not control. That is just anxiety wearing a mask. Real control is much simpler. It is knowing where your money is going. Most people do not actually know. They get paid, the money disappears, and all they are left with is confusion. They feel broke without understanding why. This uncertainty feeds stress because the problem feels invisible. You cannot fix what you cannot see. Control begins with awareness. For a short period of time, you write down what you spend, not to judge yourself, not to feel shame, just to observe. And when you do that, patterns start to emerge. Subscriptions you forgot existed, small purchases that quietly add up, spending habits that were never intentional, just automatic. Once spending becomes visible, everything changes. You are no longer reacting to money after it is gone. You are deciding what happens before it leaves. Some expenses stay because they genuinely matter to you. Others go because they do not add value to your life. The key is not perfection. The key is choice. This sense of agency is powerful. When you know where your money is going, you stop feeling helpless. Money is no longer something that happens to you. It becomes something you actively direct. And with that control comes calm. You start trusting yourself again. You stop guessing. You stop feeling lost. Financial decisions feel lighter because they are intentional. And this level of control creates the stability needed to move forward with confidence. Once you have awareness and control, one final obstacle stands between you and lasting financial calm. The kind of debt that quietly keeps you stuck. Not all debt is the same. But high-interest debt, especially credit card debt, is uniquely destructive to peace. It does not just cost money. It costs mental space. It grows in the background, applying pressure every single day, even when you are doing nothing wrong. This type of debt keeps your mind in a constant state of tension. Every purchase feels heavier, every decision feels riskier, and even when life is going fine, the stress never fully leaves. That is why paying off high-interest debt is not just a financial move, it is a psychological one. People often describe it as finally being able to breathe again, not because their life suddenly became perfect, but because a constant weight was removed. But eliminating debt alone is not enough. Financial calm is built at the intersection of behavior and mindset. The numbers matter, but how you think about money matters just as much. When you operate from scarcity, every dollar feels like it might be the last. Saving feels like punishment. Investing feels dangerous. Growth feels impossible. When your mindset shifts, everything changes. Money becomes a tool instead of a threat. Saving becomes a way to create power for yourself. Investing becomes a long-term act of self-trust. This shift does not require wealth. It requires intention, patience, and discipline. The lesson is simple. You do not need to be rich to feel calm. You need structure. You need clarity. You need to build your foundation in the right order. Stop the bleeding. Create a buffer. Take control. Build confidence. Change how you think. If this perspective helped you see money differently, subscribe to the channel to catch the next video, where we continue building practical steps toward a calmer, more intentional financial life.